Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be with Jason Kramer, founder of Cultivize, with a focus on entrepreneurship, technology, and agriculture and sustainability. Jason, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Seth. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So let's go back in time. What inspired you to start Cultivize?
So what inspired me to start Cultivize was the fact that I kept on meeting business owners that were spending a lot of money on marketing or lead generation, going to trade shows, doing things to really just get their name out there, right, and build their business. But they weren't tracking the results of that in the sense that they weren't seeing how many of those people turned it even to a qualified lead, and then how many of those turned into a customer, and how much money did they make. And that led me to the world of recognizing that a CRM platform properly set up can solve that problem.
Awesome. And what does Cultivize do?
So Cultivize helps businesses really fill the gap between the marketing and the sales efforts within an organization. We do that by identifying the right technology, which usually CRM is a component to that, but sometimes there's other tools involved, and essentially aligning everything you're doing to make your business more efficient and more productive and streamlined when it comes to how do you handle a lead when it comes in the door, how do you nurture that lead and educate that lead about what you do and the problems you can solve for them, and then ultimately how do you onboard that customer so that it's a long-standing, fruitful relationship.
Awesome. Karina and John, editing team. I'm going to redo the intro because the information I was given was the information I had was wrong. So you're going to edit out me talking right now. I'm going to redo the intro, and then I'm going to pause for silence and then ask my next question. So you're going to cut my first intro, add the new one, and then put this back later.
Yeah, I was wondering where you go with the agricultural thing.
Yeah, because
I didn't want to say anything, so I was like, oh, maybe he's got some spin here that I'm not thinking of.
I did not, and I was like, why, if he's in agriculture, is he on the show? And that is totally wrong. Okay, so we're going to do the intro again, and then I'll ask my next question. All right, so we're going to pause a couple seconds so they can edit. Then I'll do the intro. Then I'll pause a couple seconds so they can edit, and then I will do my next question. Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be with Jason Kramer, founder of Cultivize. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense and sounds like something we could all use. So who is an ideal client for Cultivize?
So an ideal client, Seth, for us is really 3 buckets of criteria. So one is it's a company that is spending money on leads, right? So they're not just building their business through referrals and friends and family members, right? But they're actively trying to grow the business. The second criteria is usually they have a salespeople of at least 2 to 3 people. So it's not just the business owner wearing a million hats, right? There's a need to help their sales team grow. And the third is that they don't have a system. They're using Google Sheets or maybe writing things down on paper. There's no unified platform to really manage their pipeline and bringing in that business to grow the business, to grow the company.
Okay, that sounds like a pain point that you're going to help them solve.
Yes.
So is there an industry? I know you've been all over the map. Is there an industry that you work better in? Is there a company size that works better for this?
Sure. It's a great question. So the answer is that we can do it for a lot of companies, but we focus a lot on manufacturing businesses, home service-based businesses. We've even worked in finance. We've worked in banking. The commonality of all of those is that they are typically sending out, I'd say, a minimum of about 500 proposals a year, give or take, and they just don't have the bandwidth to follow up. And a lot of things are falling through the cracks. That's the number one complaint set that we always hear and find out pretty early on in our conversations. Um, we also tend to work with companies that are usually, I'd say, north of 3 to 5 million in revenue. When they've hit that point, they usually start having these problems. When they're a little bit smaller than that or a startup, they haven't found the problems yet. So that's usually where our starting point is for the size of the business.
That makes a lot of sense. And are you providing them the CRM? Are you helping them pick which one and then helping them build it out? How does Cultivize work?
Yeah, exactly. So we do all of that. So we help them identify which CRM platform would be a good fit. We're a certified partner to HubSpot, to a platform actually that got bought by Constant Contact a few years ago, and a couple of others, Pipedrive, which is a smaller tool. So yes, so we would find the right technology, the right CRM for them. We do the strategy. It's more than just flipping on switches, and that's one thing that I always try to get across when we talk to people and educate them. It's not about just hitting a button and connecting your website, connecting a website form. It's like anything in the world, right? Like, what's the strategy on how we're going to use this new tool to help our business? And without the strategy, it's not going to work. I always tell people a car doesn't drive anywhere without the driver, unless maybe you have an AI assisted car now and that will drive, but you still need something to do the driving. And that's what we do. We help you navigate the plan, and then we get in there and show you actually how to move forward.
So you're helping me shop, you're helping build it out, you're helping me design it, you're helping me get it up and running. I would imagine, based on your website, I mean, you've got plenty of success stories. Can you give us an example of one client where here's what they were struggling with when they found you, here's kind of what you helped them with, and then kind of what the magical transformation on the other side of it was?
Yeah, I'd love to. So, about a year and a half ago, we started working with a roofing company in New Hampshire, which, if your listeners, I know most of them in the US, but that's in the United States. Anyway, so they're a family-run business, roofing company, been in business about 10, 12 years, give or take. And their struggle was they only had three salespeople, Seth, and they were doing about 1,000 quotes a year. And so what meant is that the salesperson was constantly in and out of the car, going to homes, doing the estimates. And then after about 5, 6 weeks, if they didn't hear back from the homeowner, they just assumed they didn't want to go forward or they hired somebody else, right? It's a common thing to feel when you're a salesperson. Okay, Jason never got back to me. I'm just going to make the assumption it's not going anywhere. And that's a really dangerous proposition because if there was never a no received, it doesn't mean there is a no. And so what we did to solve that, Seth, is we created an automated email sequence that came from the salesperson, making it look like it came from their email, outbox, right? It had their name on it, their email address, and it simply just said, "Hey, Seth, it's been 6 months, 8 months, 9 months since we came to your house. Provide the proposal. Have you hired anybody yet? We'd still love to work with you. This is what we had recommended. We talked about." That has helped close just in the last 6 months, $1.5 million worth of revenue for them.
Wow.
And that was something that the owner was a little apprehensive because he wanted the emails to feel authentic and genuine, which of course anybody would want that. And so we worked very diligently to make sure those emails didn't sound robotic or canned, right? And that they weren't automated, that they were sincere. And not only that, Seth, which is a huge number, in my opinion, it also helped them understand why people weren't hiring them. So every email that was in there would say, if you've already hired somebody, we understand. Can you click here and let us know why? And it was a one question survey that just was a drop down. I went to a competitor. I had a friend do it. I decided not to go forward. I didn't have the money, and 6, 7 choices. And now they were starting to understand why they were losing business, which helped them be better salespeople. So that was in way worth even more than the million plus in revenue because now they're understanding why they're losing the deals.
That's an absolutely incredible case study. You've helped so many businesses make this transition. What's your biggest challenge now?
My biggest challenge as Jason is with the company, I think my biggest challenge is getting in front of the right people to, share what we do to help them educate. There's so many options. There's literally thousands and thousands of CRMs out there. So anybody hears CRM consultant, they think it's an added cost. It's not necessary. I love HubSpot. It's a great tool, but it makes it seem like it's super simple. It's not. It's very complex if you want to use it correctly. And so I always tell people it's the shiny object syndrome, like in anything in life. You see something and you're like, oh, that seems simple. I can do that. I can post an ad on Facebook today. And it's so easy, but you'll probably get no results, right? Because you're not a Facebook marketing expert. You don't know how to build the ad properly and all this other things. So I think our challenge is how do we get in front of the right people? And we have different ways we're currently doing that, of course, but how do we do that a little bit more? And I wouldn't even say at scale. The one thing, Seth, for me is I always look at, and I think this is a good motto for other people listening to think about. I'd rather have 15 really amazing leads per month than 1,000 really crappy ones. And I think so many companies out there are like, oh, but I'm getting, 2,000 leads a month. I'm like, but are they leads or are they just names and email addresses that are never even going to talk to you, right? Because that's not a lead, right? A lead is somebody you're going to have a conversation with. And so I would say is our, not a struggle, but certainly our main focus going into Q1 of next year is how do we refine that approach to make that more fruitful for us and for the people we're talking to.
That is an important distinction, I think, that you just made. Do you ever work with companies that already have a CRM and are either not using it to its full potential or frustrated with their results?
Oh, yeah, quite a lot actually.
And what do you find is the biggest missed opportunity? You mentioned the people that, like, just going back to the people they had quoted
Hmm.
made a huge difference both in terms of revenue and in what they learned from that. How has like AI affected your business?
So AI, I think for sure on the content side, we're seeing more and more people, salespeople specifically, even marketing people are a little less reluctant, but salespeople using AI to write emails, right? And some are doing it really well, and some are doing it pretty poorly because they don't know the prompts and how to use the tool, right? Um, but AI is also really help with enrichment. A lot of times, even for example, on the Cultivize website, we have lots of different resources you can download. We don't ask for your whole, the glossary of information. It's just giving us your name and your email address in most cases. We can now take that data through AI. We could understand now who are you, right? What company do you work for? What's your title? What's your LinkedIn profile? We can gather and find all this other information using tools like Apollo, for example, right? And enrich the data, right? So data enrichment is a big part and big movement over the last number of years with CRM. But what that helps me do, Seth, is it's not just giving me more data in the CRM. I'm now using it to help reduce things that I was doing manually. So I'll give a really quick example. Let's say you and I met and I got busy today. I got busy this week, next week. And it took me maybe a month to reach out to you on LinkedIn, be like, hey, Seth, remember when we spoke a month ago? I just wanted to say, hey, and let me send out this invite to connect on LinkedIn. So I was really behind, admittedly, in doing that, right? Reaching out to people that was meeting with. So I'm using a combination of Apollo, right, which is an AI-driven data enrichment tool, to find the person's LinkedIn profile automatically. And then about a week after they reach out to us and download something, and LinkedIn invite automatically goes out to them. Thank you for downloading, et cetera, from our website. I just wanted to connect with you personally on LinkedIn. And then once they accept, then there's a sequence of messaging that is related to that download that they downloaded. So now I'm using both AI and, data enrichment to do something that I was spending, or I wasn't spending hours every week doing, so I didn't have the time for it to do.
That is awesome. I love that example. Jason, your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
Honestly, I mean, my background. We talked before in the pre-call about we both went to Syracuse, and both creative people. So, my passion, while I'm still very much a creative person, the data behind things is just really gets me excited and understanding how to use information that people have and flip that around and turn it into something positive, I think is just, gets me excited. And it's always ever changing, so no two companies have the same amount of data, the same type of data, the same structure of data, right? The same needs. Even two roofing companies are going to do things a little bit differently. So For us, that's the excitement. And for me, it's always what's behind the curtain when we start talking to a new company, and how can we help them?
Awesome. Well, we know your time is incredibly valuable. We appreciate you spending some of it with us. For our folks who want to learn more about Cultivize and all things Jason, where should they go?
So the easiest place, Seth, is to go to afterthelead.com. So just like it sounds, afterthelead.com. On there, you can connect with me on social. There's an opportunity to book a call with me. No pressure, no cost. You have any questions, want to run anything by me, something sparked your curiosity from listening today, go ahead and do that. We also have some really good guides, as I mentioned. One of them is a playbook I wrote, Seth, called The Blueprint for Lead Nurturing. And it really gives you a step-by-step process, regardless of whatever technology you have, on how to nurture your leads and how to educate them through your sales process to get somebody poised to want to say yes and work with you.
That is awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. This has been Seth Greene with Jason Kramer of Cultivize and afterthelead.com. Jason, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Seth.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.